Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
And so tonight we once again find ourselves at what was once known as Hendricks Army Airfield, a training site for B-17 Flying Fortresses and the B-24 Liberator and their pilots. But for the last 73 years, it's been known by a very different name. The concrete that once withstood the pounding of giant airframes has been wreaking havoc on sports cars, both in sprint and endurance races, riding loose every last nut and bolt for longer than almost any other racetrack in North America. Welcome everybody to Sebring International Raceway and the Season 4 finale of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sportscar Series, presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics here on Apex Racing TV. I'm Greg Ginsberg, and joining me in the announce booth, as always, is Larry Lefty McLeod, and we've got John Robertson working behind the scenes to give you all the best views of tonight's action. And so, good evening, Larry, and welcome once again to Sebring International, where we had all the drama last Monday night for the Ricmotech World Challenge, and now it's time to do it all over again for 60 minutes here tonight for the GT4s and TCRs.
Oh, I'm so glad to be back in Southern Florida. It was snowing in Michigan today, so a little bit of snow, finally put that behind us and soak in the beautiful Florida sunshine here at Sebring. This is going to be a good time tonight. And sports car racing is always great at the place built for multi-class racing, it seems. It's always fun here in multi-class racing, and we've got some good competition heating up.
Yeah, we do. Now, one of our three classes, our GT3 AM class, I think the points, the championship there has already been decided, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But there could be definitely some surprises in GT4 Pro and TCR tonight. But Larry, before we talk about that, why don't we do as we do each and every week here in the Sports Car Series? Let's turn things over to Kevin Ford. Last week, I think he was in the Lamborghini, the GT3 car. This week, he's going to be in that BMW M4 GT4. Let's turn things over to Kevin Ford for tonight's track guide of Sebring International Raceway.
Welcome, everyone, to Sebring International Raceway. Great to have you with us as we provide you your track guide today around this iconic road course that dates all the way back to 1950. There is certainly something special about this course. With its bumpy variety of track surfaces and technical corners, this place is a challenge for any driver, even on their best day. As we head up the front straightaway, let's begin our track guide around this 3 3/4 mile road course. As we cross the stripe, you'll notice our pit area to the right. As we head underneath the walkway bridge into turn 1, this is a very fast sweeping left-hander. We're going to take it right down to the wall here, the bottom of the apex, get right back to throttle and let that car track out all the way to the outside. Around the slight right-hander of turn 2, we're going to come down to the bottom here into turn 3, through 4, back to the right here. We're going to let the car rotate right down to the apex, come right back to throttle on that exit. Coming around Big Bend here out of turn 6. This will bring us on to a little short straightaway here that'll take us to the infamous hairpin of Sebring turn 7. Heavy on the brakes here, down through the gears. Let that car rotate to the bottom, slowly come back to throttle and race right back up out of those little S's there. Up into 4th gear, we'll come around turn 8 through Fangio here into turn 9. And then we'll head down into the next overtaking area on entry. This will be turn 10 here, Cunningham. That car rotate, we'll get some good launch up off of this corner. Through 11 and 12. Collier down into 13 now of Tower Corner. We'll leave it in 3rd gear. We'll take a little bit of curve there on the bottom. We'll go a little bit wide there on exit. Up to the double left-handers now through a very fast section of the course. This will lead us to the S's here at near the end of the lap here through Le Mans. Right-hander back to the left. We'll let the car roll and rotate right to the bottom. We'll get a good launch up off this final corner, and this will bring us out onto Almond Straight. And of course, big overtaking opportunities here as drivers will use the slipstream to set themselves up take over a position down here into turn 17, Sunset Bend. Very difficult corner to get right, and it is very bumpy through this section. Right back to throttle as we come out of the final corner, track all the way to the out, and then approach the start-finish line once again. There you go. There's your track guide for beautiful Sebring International.
And thanks so much to Kevin Ford for tonight's track guide of Sebring International Raceway. And, you know, Larry, it looked just as bumpy this week as it did last week.
These sports cars that BMW soaks up a little bit more than the GT3 BMW or whatever he was driving, Lamborghini that he was driving 2 weeks ago, or last week. So there's a little bit of less bump transferring to the driver, but it's Sebring. It's part of the game. You just got to get used to it. Yeah. But part of it makes the racing even that much more exciting. You got to time those bumps. You got to hit them just right as your car is bouncing either down through turn 1 or back there at Tower. It's just lots of places where if you know the bumps and you're really comfortable with them, you make it work to your advantage while your competitor behind you goes either hits a wall or finds some dirt.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you play the game here. Yep. All right, so Larry, we've got our drivers starting to head out on track for the 15-minute qualifying that will be used to set the grid for tonight's race. And as we do each week in our different Ricmotech series, this is a what they call lone qualifying, where the drivers have the track all to themselves. They're not going to have the benefit of the draft over some of the long straights here, but they're also not going to have to worry about traffic impeding their fast laps. And we'll give each of our drivers 4 laps in order to set their fastest and set the grid for tonight's race. And as I alluded to earlier, we do have 3 different classes that are running tonight. And since we're looking at Brandon Whitworth right now from D2D eRacing, we'll start off with the TCR cars. And they're going to be made, of course, of these front-wheel drive sedans. And as you will see, they've got the blue windshield banners, blue mirrors, the number boards on the doors there are in blue, and of course they've got the blue end plates on the wings. And then we've got our 2 different GT4 classes. We've got GT4 AM and we've got GT4 Pro. Let's take a look at one of our GT4 AM drivers if we can here. And there we go. There's Bobby Childs, who took the win 2 weeks ago at Brands Hatch, our last round of the touring car, the sports car championship, and he is driving the 88 car. The AM category drivers like Bobby, they're going to have green number boards on the doors. They're going to have the green windshield banners, mirrors, and end plates on the wings. And then we've got the GT4 Pro drivers, much like, well, let's try and find one of our pro drivers if we can. There we go, Mike Dam, who I believe took the win just a couple weeks ago at Brands Hatch in the pro category. Actually, I take that back. No, it was actually Chris Thorman who took the win. But as we look at Mike Dam here, who is on the run for a championship here, wow, and really tossing that car over the curbs. The pro drivers, red mirrors, red number boards, red windshield banners, and red end plates on the wings. And so and we're going to talk about some of the points implications, Larry, coming up here, and I think we'll have some time both during qualifying and the race in order to do that.
There's a lot of that to talk about when we do get to it, but for now we get to kind of watch Mike Dam throw that car around. He's making what's already a bumpy surface extra bumpy by using all the curbs, but I think that's how you have to do it here in the sports cars. These GT4s, they need to be abused a little bit, kind of scruff of the neck type of driving to be fast, and I think Mike obviously is one of the fastest ones around here. Wins lots of races. He'll be the one to show us how to throw it around, but he is not in first place in the points. Should you want to start talking about that?
No, he is not. But again, we'll talk about the implications in the points, because although he is not currently your championship leader, he is definitely on track to. He's in very good standing. He could come away with the championship at the end tonight. So let's do this, Larry. Let's take a look at, again, 2 weeks ago at Brands Hatch, and we'll take a look at the point standings, how they currently are. We'll start off with TCR, where Eric Violet took the win at Brands, and he was the only TCR driver to finish on the lead lap. John Sterling from Team Collusion finished in second in his Honda Civic, and then we had Nick Horvath finish in third, but Nick finished much like John Sterling a lap down. Scott Brooks finished just off the podium in fourth, and then Brandon Whitworth, who we were just watching a few moments ago from D2D, finished in fifth position. And if we take a look at the point standings currently in TCR, we'll see here that Eric Violet, currently your points leader. He's got a 19-point advantage over his teammate Brandon Whitworth. And then we've got John Sterling currently sitting third in the points right now, 29 points out of second currently, as he only has 178 points. But Nick Horvath, who we're going to be talking to here in just a little bit, he is currently sitting in fourth position, only 2 points back. All right, so let's take a look at the AM category here, and taking the win, and as I mentioned, taking his very first win of the season, and he was doing a lot of hooting and hollering, Larry, if you remember correctly, and using every catchphrase that a child of the 80s that watched World Wrestling, not World Wrestling Entertainment, not WWE, but WWF, would know very well.
You say a child of the 80s? A child of the 80s?
A Bobby Childs of the 80s, exactly. So the D2D eRacing Mercedes driver took the win with his teammate Brennan Horn finishing second, and Chuck Labano from Labano Racing, also driving a Mercedes, finished third. And it was actually the top four drivers all in the Mercedes-AMG GT4s. Dale Maxwell from Team 1 finished fourth. And it wasn't until you got to Frieder Sport Racing's John Casey in an Aston Martin who finished fifth, until you found something that wasn't a Mercedes. And so if we take a look at the point standings currently in AM, Brennan Horn, who has locked up the championship. He has a 29-point advantage right now. It is a mathematical impossibility for him to lose the championship tonight based on drops and what have you. So he will start season 5 in the pro category, having taken the championship here this season. Chad Osborne from Redline Motorsports Currently sitting second, as we mentioned, 29 points down, but only 6 points back from there is Brad Husty from Midfield Motorsports, driver of the Aston Martin, the number 137 Aston Martin. And then Chuck Lobano sitting currently fourth in the championship standings. He is only, let's see here, 5 points back from Husty, and then John Casey just a single point back from there. So real tight, right in the middle of the order and the standings right now. So let's go over and take a look at GT4 Pro, where it is Chris Thorman who came away with the win at Brand. So a lot of unexpected finishers on the podium. There, the Aston Martin of Thorman taking the win, with Robert Hartley from Orion finishing in second. Travis Schwenke, who has 4 wins already this season, came home in third, with Jeff Jacobs and then David Payton, as Mike Dam, who is currently your provisional pole sitter tonight, and he did not turn up for the Brands Hatch round. And so that is actually, Larry, what opens up some very interesting math and championship possibilities in GT4 Pro, as Travis Schwenke is currently your points leader. He's got an 11-point advantage over Mike Dam, but right now Schwenke, who has 4 wins and he's been here for all 6 rounds, his worst finish is third, Larry.
That's going to be tough to overcome.
Yeah, but that also means that if he wins tonight, he drops that third place. He doesn't pick up all that many extra points, whereas Mike Dam, having missed the round at Brands, that would be his drop. He stands to pick up a lot of points if he takes the win.
That's actually currently Mike Dam's drop. The issue for Mike is he's got a second, and then the win at Road America, the only win he has a couple of weeks back. Even if he wins tonight, he only has 2 wins to go with all those seconds, whereas you mentioned Travis Schwenke comes in with all these wins. Yeah. Even if he finishes second, he'll have 2 seconds and then a bunch of wins. If he finishes third, he'll have a bunch of wins and a second place and a third place to go in that. He's in a good, strong position here tonight. A top 3 would do him a lot of good in the final calculation. Hartley, on the other hand, the third of that trio, has a win at the opening round at Road Atlanta and a whole bunch of third places and a second place, but he would need a win and probably a little bit of help to have any shot at this championship.
Exactly, and we could also see some things change up just out of the top 3 as well. As we mentioned, that we've got a number of drivers all within a point or 2, so we'll definitely have to keep watching that. All right, so let me take a look here, Larry. If you could take over for a second, because I've got to make some technical changes on my end. It looks like.
Not a problem. We'll take a look at a few things quickly. We're going to see standings in qualifying so far with about 3 minutes to go. You got Mike Dam at the top of the GT4 Pros, ahead of Chris Thorman, Robert Hartley, Dam's teammate, and Travis Schwenke, points leader, currently 4th in that standings GT4. And Bobby Childs leading the way of Brennan Horn and Chuck Lobano. In the TCR field, it's Eric Violette by just a 10th or so ahead of Horvath, and then Violette's teammate Whitworth currently in 3rd. I tell you what we can do is maybe we could talk to that second qualifier in TCR right now.
That's
Nick
right.
Horvath.
He's there waiting.
Yeah, so, we'll go ahead and pull him in.
Here we go. Let's drag him on in, and now let's talk to Nick Horvath. He's driver of the number 82 Lead Paul Racing TCR Honda Civic.
Nick Horvath, a great qualifying so far, sitting second in this field. Tell me a little bit. You that comfortable here at Sebring?
Yeah, Sebring's one track that I'm pretty comfortable with. I've raced touring cars here before and had a lot of luck. So this is one of those tracks where I feel like I've got a little bit of an edge as compared to others. It's just going to be hard to give a fight to these D2D guys who are just so flawless, but it's been a lot of fun just in practice. I know I'm close. It's just if I can keep it there the whole race.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're clearly close on pace right now. You've been close in a lot of the events, one situational things, one or another. Do you look back at those over the course of the last 7 events and try to learn from anything to say, how can I put this together? And I mean, these guys, like you say, they don't make a lot of mistakes, but they're not totally perfect. But you have a strategy to try and work your way towards that overall?
So far, yeah, I do look back at all the mistakes. I mean, you really got to learn from it, and that's kind of what makes touring cars fun. Is it's super easy to see where you can go wrong and how you can improve. Um, right now, I think going into tonight, it's just going to be try to pressure them, keep them within about a second. As long as I can do that pretty much the whole race and try to come out on the pit stops, I think I can at least pose a bit of a real challenge for a win.
And that would be spectacular. You're also, though, while you're doing that, going to be just keeping an eye on maybe John Sterling's situation, since it seems you guys are nearly neck and neck in the points.
Oh yeah, John's run a really good season. If he gets me in this, I'm not really going to be too mad, but I've really got to give it my all. I've at least got to try and lead a lap. I know that. I've got to try and keep the incidents under basically anything I can possibly do to try and maximize my points here. It's going to be a really, really tough race, but I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Any strategy thoughts just on the green flag lap, as you guys will be starting obviously back from where the GT4s are, but it always gets opportunities to go a lot wide through one. But what's your thoughts on going in there in the first lap?
Turn 1, I kind of want to keep it easy. I know the later part of the circuit, I'm a little bit faster, so I think it's just going to be go through turn 1 and then give her hell.
Awesome strategy. Well, you're a couple seconds away from lining up. Any last thoughts, or want to say hi to anybody for the moment while you got it?
Yeah, I'm going to give a shout out to my teammate Marlon. Sorry you couldn't make it out tonight, but I guess I'm going to give it my all for you. Bringing home some good points for Leadpaw Racing.
Awesome stuff. Well, good luck tonight. This is going to be a great race, and we're looking forward to it. Maybe we'll get a chance to talk to you when it's all over.
Here's hoping.
All right, there you go. That was Nick Horvath, driver of the number 82 Leadpaw Racing Honda Civic. Good luck to him tonight. And Larry, before we have the grid, and we've got the grid coming up here in just one moment, one other thing to make note that we didn't talk about during qualifying is last Tuesday night there was an update. Tuesday during the day there was an update to iRacing. And there were some changes made to the ABS system in the Mercedes AMG GT4 and also fuel consumption on the AMG GT4. So that could possibly change the way things work out here tonight. Of course, those drivers have all had the ability during the week to practice with those new setups. So we'll see how things play out. But let's take a look at the starting order right now and your pole sitter tonight, with a qualifying time of 209.993, driving the number 93 Orion Racing BMW M4 GT4. It's Mike Dam, his points leading teammate, driving the number 16 Orion BMW. It's Travis Schwenke. Chris Thorman, our winner from 2 weeks ago at Brands Hatch, will start third in the number 60 D2D E-Racing machine, with Robert Hartley from Orion starting on the outside of row number 2. Then we've got Bobby Childs, our AM category winner from 2 weeks ago. He's going to start 5th today, with David Payton in pro starting in 6th. Then we've got Steve Daniel. He's going to start 7th this evening with Brennan Horn, our champion this season in the AM category, starting in 8th. Chuck Lobano will start 9th with Tom Jenkins 10th. Then we've got Jeff Jacobs with streetsurvival.org. He's going to be driving the number 38 Mercedes. He starts 11th, with Russ Ruddick starting in 12th.
All right, so I can finish these up, and I'll grab the TCRs while I'm at it. Sure. On row number 7 on the inside's going to be Chad Osborne from Redline Motorsports, alongside Brad Husty from Midfield Motorsports. On row 8, John Casey's going to be in the inside from Frito Sport, lined up alongside Stephen May in the May Force Racing. And then last in the on row 8 there for the GT4 is Dale Maxwell from Team 1 Racing. But tonight in TCR, we've got 2 rows, 2 by 2. They will go. Your pole sitter is going to be Eric Violet, the points leader there from D2D E-Racing. He will be alongside, I believe he's alongside Nick Horvath. It looks a little jumbled there on the screen, I know, but he will be alongside Nick Horvath. We just talked to him from Leadpaw Racing, starting the outside of row 1. Brandon Whitworth, the other driver from D2D, he'll be starting on the inside of row 2. And John Sterling, who's in that third place points battle with Nick Horvath, he'll be starting 4th alongside Whitworth. So this will be very interesting to have the D2Ds on one side, Horvath and Sterling, the rivals, going for 3rd on the other side. This could be a fun night in TCR.
Yeah, it should be with just those 4 drivers running here tonight. We'll see how things play out. And Larry, it looks like Brennan Horan Our AM category champion for season 4. He may be waiting waiting to see if he can get hard charger tonight, and he did not make the grid this evening. And we'll see if he's starting from the pit lane or what's gonna.
He's in one of those AMGs, maybe with the adjusted ABS. Maybe he's worried about his brakes in the opening laps. He's doing everyone a favor and starting from the pits. I really don't know. It's just a guess.
that is possible. So Brendan just he sent me a message over the weekend that he just earned his SCCA competition race license. He's been a flagger for a number of years up in the New England region of the SCCA, and I believe lives in Massachusetts, and they just had a competition licensing school up there, and he was showing off his spec Miata and his spiffy race suit. So congratulations to him.
Yeah, no, that's really great. Crossing over real world, doing flaggers, and then now actually getting himself a comp license. That's awesome stuff. I want to make one correction to the grid order as it kind of changed at the last minute while we were talking to Nick Horvath as the pre-race interview. Brendan Whitworth did go faster in qualifying, so the front row now in TCR is in fact the teammates of D2D. Violet, Whitworth, Horvath, and Sterling, the rivals for third in the points championship, will be starting side by side.
All right, as the pace car is bringing the field now down that Flying Fortress straight and towards the Le Mans chicane, and we still got a long way to go down the Ullman straight, the back straight here at Sebring, where we will then start to see the cars form up and grid up, and we'll see how far back those 4 TCR cars are, if they're going to give a lot of ground to the GT4 cars. I suspect that they probably will.
We'll see where Brennan Horn actually does filter in, assuming his rig is okay and he's able to start this race, if he ends up behind the TCRs or in front of them.
All right, and you can see there, just as they came out of Le Mans, the field getting all lined up in a 2x2 manner with the 2 D2D e-racing machines on the front row, and you can see all 4 of the TCR cars now, more or less the length of the Ullman straight as they had just come onto that straightaway as our GT4 drivers head into the sunset turn. The pace car now heads to the pit lane. That is going to give Mike Dam, driver of the number 93 BMW, the field with Travis Schwenke there right alongside, and green flag is in the air, and we are racing here at Sebring in GT4s. They make the run down towards turn 1 for the very first time. You see Dam is still keeping that car fairly close to the left-hand wall. Maybe got a little bit of a push from Chris Thorman directly behind him in the Aston Martin. But for the moment here, as they come through the little kink in 2, Mike Dam is still set up to lead the field through turn number 3. And it is then the Orion machine of Schwenke, and then Thorman going to hold off Hartley as long as he can through 5 and 6, and it looks like Thorman might be having some connectivity issues there.
Yeah, he was blinking a little bit on the opening lap there, on the warm-up lap. It looks like maybe now he's back. Schwenke did not want to give up that first turn position to Mike Dam, but ultimately had to yield a little bit as our TCRs are underway, and that would be Eric Violet out in front right now, ahead of, I believe that's Nick Horvath. That's Horvath into second spot, just ahead of Whitworth, now into third, and Sterling in the 4th spot. Brennan Horn, by the way, did appear to take to the track. Yes, he is now out there. He is
out, yep.
And I think he's behind. There he is in the back of the shot.
Yeah, he's quite a bit further back. He had to wait until the TCRs cleared the pit exit before he could rejoin. Now, Larry, at Brands Hatch, and it looks like we might be having some connectivity issues with Horvath as well. Maybe things are a little cold there up in Canada. But he had done fairly well, actually very well, in the early stages of the race at Brands Hatch, and again had finished in 3rd position, but had been running up with both Violet and Whitworth in the early stages until he had fallen back a little bit.
Yeah, just watching here now as Thorman's going to continue to pressure the back of Schwenke. He had coming off that great win a couple weeks back. He's looking to carry them out to even now try to use the draft to duck to the inside of Schwenke as they're heading through Sunset, not able to do it all the way, but he's certainly going to be the aggressor in the opening laps.
Yeah, and you saw even where Mike Dam moved a little bit to driver's right as they were coming down the Ullman Straight to try and hold off a charge from Travis Schwenke. But you saw there as Thorman went to the inside, Larry, and when Schwenke turned in and cut right across the nose of Thorman actually waited to turn in. He made a later entry, maybe trying to come underneath the number 16 machine, but he just could not carry the speed through the corner.
Not quite. Maybe he didn't want to completely duck inside, knowing he didn't have much of an overlap, but he certainly wanted to show Travis that he's there and it could happen again. So Chris being the aggressor early on, but he's got to be careful not to lose sight of Travis and Mike out in front, or even leave himself susceptible to a pass from Hartley behind. But we are still a train all the way down to about 6 before we see any kind of a gap after Steve Daniel back to Chuck Labano. Now, Chuck doesn't want there to be a gap because he's the second place runner right now in AM. The first place driver in AM is the first of the Mercedes in the train. That would be Bobby Childs. Yep, and he's back there in the 5th or 6th spot overall, but first in AM. There's the blinking again going over Thorman. That's not a good sign if he's going to survive this entire hour-long race without any issues.
Yeah, that's going to be very problematic for him, I think, and especially in some of the turn complexes where the turns are a little bit tighter, and it certainly is something that Robert Hartley is going to have to contend with. As we're watching Brennan Horn now. What
were you saying about the AMG and getting an update last week?
That's so my understanding, Larry, is that the ABS was improved. It had a little bit. Actually, a little bit faster engagement and, more importantly, faster disengagement as you got your foot back out of the throttle. Let's take a look and see exactly what happened to Brennan Horn here.
Well, here he is coming into the hairpin down at 7 and not quite yet caught up to the TCRs. And he just brakes late and gets all the way down, decides to use the exit roads here, the old taxiways in the airport.
And actually, that was part of the old hairpin right there that went all the way down to the wall and then rejoined. So Brennan going back to like 1975 there, and he's back underway. For a moment, I thought he was going to take
David
the Tristan Herbert line.
I'm sure Hobbsy's watching. Will say, "Hey, that's the way we used to take it."
I thought he might take the Tristan Herbert line out into the parking lot and end up parking by the hotel.
Let's hope not. Yeah, that's a long run to go. But for him, that's just as he was already starting from the pits and had just caught the back of the TCRs. Now he's got to do it all over again. He's probably a ways back at this point.
All right, as we're watching right now, David Payton currently running 5th. Started 6th. He had gotten around his teammate Bobby Childs. Of course, Childs still your AM category leader. Payton running 5th in Pro currently.
Smart move by Bobby, though. Let Payton have an opportunity to pressure the back of those Orion cars up in front and maybe help out his teammate Chris Thorman a little bit. And Bobby just knowing that his fight really is going to be with the rest of AM behind him, like Chuck Labano, Brad Husty, and the others. So good move for Bobby. Good way to play teammates and let a couple of his pro class guys get up in front. Now we got Nick Horvath pressuring a little bit to Violet as they go through the hairpin. Might be giving up a spot. No, he's able to stay in that spot.
He's able to hold it, yeah.
Yeah, he's willing to be the pressure there, not let Eric Violet just, preserve tires and play the soft game. But look at this even, ducking underneath.
Yeah, and this is a very defensive line by Violet as he just came out, he came out of Fangio going into 10 and just stuck at the center of the track. And that has, for the moment, really put some pressure on him as they come now down into turn 12, and maybe a little bit of contact there as Horvath takes the dirt line on the exit onto the Flying Fortress straight, but he has now moved ahead of the two D2D teammates as Brennan Horn. Maybe he's acting as the cheering section back there, flashing the headlights.
I think he is, yes. He's cheering on his D2D teammates. Unfortunately, they just gave up the lead for the moment, at least. Violet did to Horvath. Remember, in the interview, Horvath said he wants all the points he can get tonight. He might have just given up a 1X by going off the track there at Tower, but he actually might be able to get the point for leading if he can hold the D2D guys behind him. Violet's going to say, no, I don't want anybody else getting that bonus point tonight. He's going to try and pop out now down Almond Straight and go to the inside, see if there's an up and under coming.
Yeah, and so and here as he runs the inside line, and Violet goes to the outside. Violet's going to have position coming down into turn 1, but you see these 4 TCR drivers, all the Honda Civics.
One of those doesn't look like the others.
Yeah, exactly. As the Mercedes is trying to figure out where to go, and I think he was getting ready to drive right into the back of a reappearing. And we may have lost.
He hasn't reappeared yet.
Nick Horvath.
Oh, that is not good. The pre-interview curse strikes again.
And there he is. Horvath has reappeared, but he has reappeared almost 15 car lengths back from the rest of the TCR field.
Oh, wow. That's awful for him because he was right there side by side with Violet for pretty much a lap there since they were at this point a lap ago. But not out of this yet. He's still in the game. Brennan Horn now has finally leapfrogged all 4 of the TCR field. Now he can get it with the program and start catching up to the rest of the GT4 class.
And, so Larry, we were talking here as we jump back to the GT4 action on how it was a good move for Peyton and Childs to swap positions there for 5th and 6th overall, and allow Peyton to get into the battle in pro. But what has also happened here is Steve Daniel, who's running 6th in pro, he about 2 laps ago started to really fall off the back of Bobby Childs in 6th. And so what this has done is it's really complicated things for Chuck Labano, who is battling it out for the lead with Bobby Childs currently. Is Labano here, I don't want to say he's stuck, but he's definitely having his pace to some extent controlled by the number 96 BMW ahead, the Steve Daniel machine.
Yeah, Steve's definitely making it difficult for Chuck to have any kind of a go to catch up to Bobby up there. Bobby's loving this, watching that gap grow behind him. But Chuck is going to have to maybe look for an opportunity to get past Steve. He's got to really work on corner exits whenever he sees Steve make a bit of a hiccup to try and make a move on him. Because if not, if he starts to continue to fade because he can't get by, that potential win in AM is going to start to fade as well. So he's got to watch it. But if he fades too much, got to look up behind him because I think he's got a couple other GT4 AMs back there behind him, not too far, like Jenkins and his teammate Husty, currently 3rd and 4th. Those guys are only about maybe about 2 seconds or so back from this battle. You can see him in the shot there, those couple of Astons with Jeff Jacobs between. So those are 2, 3, and 4 in the AM category, still all within sight of each other, trying to figure out how do I close these gaps.
As we jump back to the TCR battle here now, it was a 4-car battle, has become 3 with you can see Nick Horvath. He's still trying to make up ground and get back to the rest of the field, but without the benefit of the draft, Larry, he is running almost 0.8 of a second off the pace of these 3 drivers, Eric Violet, Brandon Whitworth, and John Sterling.
Well, I'll be curious who right now Nick Horvath's rooting for, because we know he's in a points battle with John Sterling, but yeah, Sterling could help him a lot by sticking his nose inside of Whitworth and starting to slow them down a little bit. That would really help Nick, because Nick needs anything to slow these 3 down. And as long as these 3 continue to play nice with each other and follow the typical speed demon Eric Violet around this track, Eric, with a bit of a push draft, is just going to pull away from Nick Horvath in 4th and bring the Whitworth and Sterling along on the way. So I think what Horvath really wants is anything to have these 3 in front of him, just start mixing it up and slowing down.
And at this point, at least this early on, it doesn't look like Sterling has the gumption to go after Brandon Whitworth. And at this point, with about a car length and a half to 2 car lengths separating him anyhow. I don't know if he does, but we just saw there is John Sterling might have some connectivity issues.
What do these D2D guys have going on? We did see a bit of a blinking going on earlier from Thorman, but now they've handed that blinking off to the 2 competitors in GCR that aren't on the D2D team. Both Sterling and Horvath having their issues. I'm calling conspiracy on this. I think Bobby's got He's got a bit of a wire jam outfit going on, and he's got everybody's signals. All
I was just thinking that Bobby just has like a bunch of antennas sprouting out of his head or something. That he's just throwing RF all over the place.
Well, I tell you what, Whitworth and
It
Violet
might be a
just laid
spaghetti
down.
colander on his head too. I don't know.
Oh, I can easily see that.
Yes.
Whitworth and Violet, the teammates, basically just pushed each other to an extremely fast 2:16, 4 and 5. Sterling maybe missed the turn in a couple of spots, fell back a little bit. Horvath turned his own 16.9 to start catching to Sterling. That's his best race right now, is to try and sniff the back of John Sterling and maybe help those two try and catch the two teammates up in front. But this isn't out of this all yet for Nick Horvath. He needs to continue to just go perfect laps here and hope maybe that Violet has a bit of a stumble somewhere, giving a slowdown for Whitworth for Sterling and Horvath to catch.
And and I thought that perhaps as they went in the sunset the last time, Larry, that we might see that as Brandon Whitworth had shifted to the inside to driver's right a little bit, had shaded in, had even turned in a little bit earlier than Eric Violet, as opposed to just mirroring every step that he takes. And we saw where Violet had to change his line going in the sunset just a little bit, and they came out with a little bit of overlap. And right now, Whitworth appears to be the aggressor.
A little bit, but I think he also knows they want to get away from Sterling before he gets too aggressive, and that's a little bit of teammate thing going on. Not that he wants his teammate to win, but he wants to make sure he gives himself a chance. That you would do regardless. I think if you're in whoever's in the lead, whether it's a teammate or not, if it's a twosome pulling away, you stay in that twosome as long as you can. I know you've watched a lot of Spec Miata, Spec 4
Yes.
type of stuff. That's always a strategy. As soon as you've latched on with two cars and you got a gap, you two just go. Yep.
All right, here, and this is the continued battle with Thorman and Hartley. But the last time we checked in, Robert Hartley was your third place runner, and Thorman now sitting back up in third position here. And again, all of these 5 cars in very close proximity, just a little bit further back from Robert Hartley. We have David Payton from D2D in the frame. There he is in that green and silver Aston, and then just a little bit further back from there is our AM category leader, Bobby Childs, looking for his second race win in a row.
I am impressed to how this whole train is stuck together. As long as it has 5+ deep, I'll include Bobby and make that a full 6-car train. Often what we see in these races is, maybe the top 3 will pull away and the next 3 will start to fade, but not yet. They're still holding tight. Peyton and even Bobby back there is still part of this front train, pulling away from Daniel, Labano, Jenkins, and the rest of the crowd back there. But this is a good sign for Peyton and Thorman to stick here with the Orion team. If you stay in this train, give yourself a chance. Now, the Orions, they often make very quick pit stops, very efficient. You got to make sure you do that well. But we know that they're showing a lot of pace. Thorman got the win a couple weeks back. Let's see if maybe they can stick this out and be here in another 45 minutes when the checkered flies.
Yeah, and Larry, I think those quick pit stops are going to be key here tonight. Based on the fuel consumption that the GT4 cars had here during the week, there's going to be a very, very, very short pit window for the GT4 cars. As we are doing the math, it looks like the GT4 cars can go somewhere around 14 laps on a full load of fuel for what is going to be a 27-lap race. So essentially, that pit window for the mere mortals, and we've seen where for example, Dam and Schwenke have and this, in some instances, Hartley as well has been able to really extend that pit window. But we're looking at a pit window that is probably only 1 lap long. Somewhere between, seeing these cars pit in probably somewhere between laps 13 and 14.
That will be interesting because as even some of our post-race interviews have said about the non-Orion teams, have said about the Orion guys, it's amazing how well they save fuel even as the pace that they're going. I'm wondering, so the qualifying time on pole for Mike Dam was a 2:09.9. His fastest lap of the race, it was his lap, so 2:10.6. That's 7/10 off of what he did in qualifying. Now, I know qualifying is going to be a lot less fuel on board, but he's also now had 8 laps to get a lot more heat in those tires. And I'm wondering if maybe even in the front, he's doing what he can to save a little bit of fuel, knowing that he and Schwenke, if they can do that, and maybe the D2D guys can't, that becomes that advantage at the pit stop. So Thorman and Peyton might be thinking, even if they could do a little bit of a lift coast before braking, they may be able to match that kind of a pit stop, because I suspect Dam and Schwenke may be doing the same. They might be holding back some of that pace. And look at this foursome.
Yeah, here we go as they come now into the hairpin, and we are looking right now at our new leader in TCR. That is Brandon Whitworth in the 42 machine. You can see there where Eric Violet, who is our pole sitter and early leader, he dropped back now into third position, but also right in the thick of the battle again is Nick Horvath in the Lead Paul Racing Honda Civic, and he's sitting right on the back of Eric Violet.
He is. And so I'm wondering what happened to Violet in all this, because he was basically the engine in the train pulling away from Nick Horvath, who was in fourth, while the front three motored on. And suddenly Horvath has said, thank you guys. You brought this back to me. And in the form of Violet in third, while teammate Whitworth out in front. So I'm wondering if Whitworth decided it was time to play. And once he did, it brought Sterling in, it brought Horvath back in. There's the lap times you can see there. Horvath's last time by was that 16.2, his quickest of the race. That helped him get in here, while Eric Violet did a 17.5, which was, again, they were running high 16s before. So something happened with those Z2D cars to put this situation in effect. But now it's a four-way battle for the front.
All right, and here they come into the Sunset Bend, and that's a great angle, Larry, that I don't think we had before, as they come out. And running all the way up to the wall are both Violet and Horvath. But we saw there where Whitworth took that much later entry, came out almost center of track to hold off the advance of John Sterling as they come now through turn one.
Yeah, they are definitely trying to maximize those lines. I'm sure they're each watching their mirrors as much as they're watching the road in front of them. And at this point, this is now turning into just classic touring car racing. I can't believe we only have 4 drivers today, because it looks like an absolute blast to be in the middle of all this, knowing that corner to corner you might get passed or do some passing. Speaking of passing, it's hardly giving up a spot to Peyton.
Yeah, and not only giving up a spot, but a lot of ground on track as he comes right and slots in between Peyton and Bobby Childs. And Bobby Childs, for a moment, took a look to the inside there and realized he didn't quite have the pace, and then sticks back behind the number 3 machine. But I'm not sure what happened there.
Let's see. We've got a replay, and I have my suspicions. Let's see if they're going to be
a slowdown penalty, maybe
possibly
going through Le Mans.
Possibly a slowdown at the first apex, or does he run wide here at the last? That could be a slowdown on the apex and a run wide.
No, that'll do it right there.
Like the big time penalty, so to speak, but he manages to keep it together. I have hit that inside wall so many times in this sim by doing what he just did. Amazing, he's able to control it, but that shakes the front up and splits them now, as there's now about a 2-second gap from Thorman in third back to Peyton, Hartley, and Childs in 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, we saw where Peyton had to check up a little bit coming onto the Ullman Straight, as he had been trying to take evasive maneuvers to go down the center of track just as Hartley started to cut right across, having trying to recover from running in the grass and the dirt there. And so, yeah, big gap now from Dam Schwenke and Thorman back to Peyton, Hartley, and Bobby Childs, who is still your AM category leader. And Larry, we're looking at that shot from behind Bobby Childs, the last car in this little train, and we don't even see for quite some time.
Pretty
there he
back.
is. Yeah, the Steve Daniel BMW is quite a bit further back, with Labano still behind. I think almost 5.5 seconds back or so.
Daniel's about 5 seconds behind Hartley and Childs or so. But I think this is my theory a moment ago about the Orions that are up in the front, Dam and Schwenke, that maybe, just maybe, they're conserving a little bit and holding their pace.
Yeah.
Let's see if that's true, if Hartley can get back around Peyton, because he'll expose that pace for what it is if it's there, because he'll want to close back up onto the back of Thorman for third. But Hartley certainly has to get around Peyton, and that's certainly not going to be an easy job to do. But if he does, look to see if he starts clipping a couple of 209s to try and catch up to that front threesome.
All right, so we're just now over 20 minutes, just about just about a third of the way through this 60-minute sprint race here at Sebring International Raceway for the finale of the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. And yeah, definitely turning into a fight. And so, yeah, absolutely, Larry, if Hartley can get by David Payton, and it looked as though Hartley had a good run down the front straight and going through turn 1, just could not translate it into a passing maneuver going into turn 3. It would be interesting to see what the actual pace of those cars are, because I would suspect it would try to move up. But we've also seen in the past, Larry, even this season, where Hartley has encountered some problems and just has never been able to make another run through the field.
There's Brad Husty.
Yeah, Husty here, currently running 4th in AM. And
I think he's just coming off a bit of a spin. I think we got a replay queued up. We do. He's the 3rd car in this train. He was running 4th in AM, right there behind Jeff Jacobs, coming into. Oh boy, yeah, that's
coming into turn 3, and he just drops the wheel there, driver's right, and brings the car around.
No contact. Lucky for him, is able to kind of get away. I think he's even going to hold on to 4th, but now he's got John Casey and Dale Maxwell within sight of him, so he's got to really watch himself as Husty does resume. Nothing but a little bit of a bruise to the ego there, but other than that, he's back on his way. Just still keeping an eye on the gap of Hartley and Payton catching up to Thorman. Is that gap still about 2 seconds?
Yeah, now Hartley is starting to put on a little bit of pressure.
Yeah, he looks like he wants to catch him, and even Bobby's trying to use some of this there. There's Thorman, faster than Payton the last couple of laps, so that's not the good sign.
No.
That Hartley wanted. Hartley's going to have to get a strong exit off of Sunset here to see if he can maybe have an opportunity down through 1 into 3 for the pass. It's going to be close. He's got an opportunity if he can get a nice, clean, smooth run through 1. Maybe he can get side by side and pull off a pass into 3. Payton also nice and smooth this time by. Is he going to make the move?
I think he's a little bit too far back here. Although he's showing the nose the last couple turns, Larry. He's popping in just a little bit.
And now he's trying to late apex it, I think, to get the run down. And Payton gets a little bit of dirt, going to slow him down. We might be seeing a pass just in a second here.
We'll see here as they come down towards the hairpin, and Hartley again poking to the inside. Payton goes and adjusts, and you see just maybe a couple feet off the left-hand side of the track. Might be all that Hartley needs, but
that Aston Martin has got some legs.
Yeah.
Even getting in the dirt, even with the BMW behind, getting a great run, nice late apex. Still, Payton was able to kind of pull that away. And I do think the Aston Martin might have a little bit of good top end on it to make up for some of those little mistakes. If positions get swapped here at some point, I really think that Hartley's going to be able to pull away from Payton. So Payton needs to do all he can to hold this position, maybe stop checking his mirrors and just start driving up in front. But if he can hold this position, it'll certainly keep Bobby right in that mix as well.
You know, and I find it a little surprising also that the Aston can pull out of the corners and certainly has, I think, more top end than the BMW. But given how unhappy that Aston Martin looks dealing with some of the curbing here compared to the BMW, I'm amazed that he can put the power down. Yeah, almost every single corner where he runs even just the tiniest little bit up onto the curbing. And now there we go. Robert Hartley pokes to the inside. He thinks he's got the position, and he does. Just drove right around him, Larry. Wow.
Yeah, I wonder if Payton had lift there as he had gotten the left 2 into the dirt coming on to the Ullman Straight. And now through this bumps through Sunset, I think you were saying that car does not like the bumps very much. The BMW looks a little bit more smooth through there. Payton struggling a bit. Now let's see what kind of pace does Hartley have as the gap is about 3 seconds. Hartley from Thorman in 3rd as the front 3 grabs another half a second of that. But this doesn't help him at all. Look at the defensive line for Hartley going into 3. He's going to hold it, but boy, that was tighty. Not.
Yeah, I was going to say, and it looked for a moment there as he cut right across and early apex turn 3. Thought he might run out of ground on the outside there, but he manages to get the car to rotate and hold on to the position. You know, the run that he got down the front straight, Larry, even after they came through Sunset, I think foretold what the real pace of that BMW is, because you know, not only was he able to drive right around Thorman on the back straight, he had opened up almost 3 car lengths going down into turn number 1, and if he had not put the car off on the outside of 1, he'd probably be about halfway up to the top 3 at this point.
He might, but let's see what he does as he gets the rock spinning again and tries to get a little bit of momentum going and into some kind of a rhythm, and see if he can catch up to Chris Thorman, who's doing a solid job running with Schwenke and Dam, just like he did a couple of weeks ago at Brands Hatch. He's doing it again here.
All right, Larry, tell you what, because again, we know that we've got that very short pit window for the GT4 cars, and we're working lap 13 now. Why don't we, well, tell you what, why don't we hold on for like another lap or so, and we'll see what happens and see if these cars start to pit in. It might just be best if we wait to see, because I think we're going to see most of them probably pitting in right at about the same time here as we are almost halfway through this race. Yeah, and just look at the way that BMW takes a set, you know, right past the first apex there, going in the Sunset. The rear end, you know, bumps a little bit on the pavement there. It rotates, and then it just takes a set. And you don't see that from the Aston Martins. They just look a lot more skittish coming through that section there. And you can see even all the compliance there in the front suspension that they have to work into these cars to run here at Sebring.
Yeah, which tells you how good a job Chris Thorman's doing in an Aston to continue to run with these 2 front BMWs. I don't know if he's running a different setup. Generally, they don't, you know, a lot of these D2D guys, they run similar setups between Thorman and Peyton, both in those Astons. But Thorman seems to be very smooth on that, as Dale Maxwell is the first of our pit stops. He's in the AMG. He was running in the AM category. I want to say he was running in 5th or 6th.
I think he was in 6th position, yeah.
Okay.
And now look at this.
Yep.
Finally gets around Steve Daniel. It took him 13, it took him 13 and a half laps to do it. But Labano, who's running 2nd in AM, finally gets around Steve Daniel. The problem is that he is almost 5.5 seconds at this point back from our leader, Bobby Childs.
Yeah, Bobby's done a good job of maintaining the pace up there with some of the other front 6. Chuck Labano now needs to just not worry about Steve Daniel. He needs to go out there and see what he can do to lay down some flyers before his pit stop window opens up. We've seen him have some pretty quick times before. He's going to have to do it again, and just see what he can do, as the D2D boys are at it here in TCR.
Yeah, and they've once again opened up a pretty good-sized gap back to Horvath and Sterling. And at this point, Horvath back around the number 87 machine, the team collision machine of Sterling. Here is Osborne coming out of the pits, and right behind this TCR battle, thankfully.
Let's see if the TCR, see if Whitworth goes side by side. Pop, look at that right on cue. Parallel with this team at Violet. Are they going to use this side by side? Just enough to slow him down a little bit. Meanwhile, Horvath saying, come on, guys, a little bit more of that.
Keep going,
a little bit more of that. He is just about 1.5 seconds back from it. Any little slip up, and he's going to be right back in this little battle. This has been fun to watch with these TCRs. They continue, even though there's only 4, all 4 of them seem to have a little bit of raciness tonight.
Yeah, Whitworth showing a lot more gumption, I think, tonight than we've seen in a lot of these races, where he's seems to have been willing to run and play second fiddle to his teammate Violet. Now, that being said, you know, Violet has taken home six of the wins this season to Whitworth's 1 here, as Jeff Jacobs now pits in from, I believe that was 6th position in class, and also coming in now is Brad Husty and John Casey as well. So a lot of the a couple more of the AM category cars, and of course Jeff Jacobs now sitting back 7th in pro.
All right, well, it looks like our pit window is opening up, at least for some of these cars. So
Ooh, and that was probably the biggest bobble that I've seen yet, Larry, from Chris Thorman as they were coming out of Collier. He had the rear end step out on him, something mighty, and you can see now he lost about 6 car lengths to the 2 Orion Racing teammates here. That he's still got a lot of room to give back to Robert Hartley, but that took him, I think, probably out of what little draft there is in these GT4 cars, out of the draft of Schwenke.
Well, if Schwenke and Dam have anything to go on here, and if they were holding back at all, now is the time to use it up as we get close to the pit window, as well as that gap that Thorman just put himself in. This is the time to try and take advantage of it. I'm not so sure now, after having said that earlier, that there is much left in the tank. These guys might have just been going full 10-10s because Hartley hasn't really gained.
No.
He's maybe a half a second in 3 laps, a little bit, only on Thorman, because I'm watching the pace. Dam, Schwenke, and Hartley are all running about the same lap. But here come the teammates into the pits. It's David Payton and Bobby Childs from D2D, both in the pits together. There you go.
And Steve Daniel coming in as well. So I'm sure Daniel looking to see if perhaps, and that is Chad Osborne in the number 24 BMW that he goes around coming through turn 1. And we'll take a look and see exactly what happened here. Yeah, this might be the best view right from the windshield. And the rear end just walks on him, Larry.
Yeah, that definitely. Oh, and he even gets a little bit of the wall for a good measure there, unfortunately. Hopefully there's not too much damage to that car.
All right, so we've got Childs, Payton, and Daniel, and also in the pits, and we didn't see him on the time screen. Brennan Horan brought his car into the pits actually just before Payton, Childs, and Daniel had come in, and that car is still on the pit lane. You can see it sitting there on the left-hand side, the Mercedes. So we'll see how long that stays there, or if it comes back out as Russ Ruddick now pits in, as does John Sterling from our first TCR car to come into the pit lane.
We'll keep our eye on him. Oh, there's Sterling there going slow. You can see coming out of the hairpin. That does not bode well.
No, it does not. And so from the looks of it, Larry, out of fuel?
I would be surprised at that. I think maybe, unless he just didn't fill it up early enough, or didn't fill it up completely enough before the race started. That's unfortunate, because he was really running strong. All 4 of those guys had basically been within about 2 seconds of each other. And now with his 3rd place in the championship battle was ongoing with Horvath, this is really going to hurt his chances there, because certainly if he had to call the tow, he's going to be a lap or 2 down by the time he does resume, giving Horvath kind of the advantage right now to look for that 3rd place on the finishing championship podium, as another one of our D2D cars are in the pits. That's Chris Thorman from 3rd.
Pitting in from 3rd. And that's going to move Hartley now up into 3rd temporarily. And Larry, as far as Sterling having to take the tow now, and again looking like he ran out of fuel, they anticipated after practice this week, we had anticipated the TCR cars to be able to get somewhere in upwards of 20 laps out of a full tank, and right now Whitworth, Violet, and Horvath are only working lap number 16.
Yeah, that's why I'd be surprised if there was an issue, other than if Sterling just didn't put in the full load after the qualifying session. That is an option the drivers have, and maybe he just didn't quite click it up all the way. Or maybe it was something else we don't know. Could have been sim-related as well. There's a lot of things that can go wrong, but unfortunately for John, it's going to cost him, as he's now about 2 minutes that he has spent in the pits so far. While up in the front in the pro ranks, Dam and Schwenke continue to pull away, and Hartley has not gained any ground as Chuck Labano comes out from his pit stop. He looks like he's still in 2nd at AM, but guess who he's going to come out right next to?
Steve Daniel. There we go.
Steve Daniel, after all that work to get around him, he found him again. And now
he's going to be behind him, and oof, there you go. And as there is now between Labano and Bobby Childs, somewhere around 7 seconds now separating them, as Bobby Childs had come in for his pit stop as well. And Larry, as I'm looking through the field,
guess who hasn't pit yet?
I was just going to say, Mike Dam, Travis Schwenke, and Robert Hartley are only 3 GT4 drivers that have not pit in yet. and in TCR. We are still waiting. We've got Violet, Whitworth, and Horvath, but again, we think that they can probably go a couple more laps.
Yeah, we expected, as you said a moment ago, the TCRs to go a little bit longer. But with these guys, what magical cheat code do these Orion guys have that gets them this kind of fuel economy? Well, apparently not all of them do, as Schwenke is going to dive in, as well as Hartley, which means Mike Dam doesn't want to give anybody a chance to lead this race except for himself and get that point. That's Jenkins, one of the midfield motorsports entries, at the hairpin spinning around. But I was just going to say Mike Dam may end up being the last of the GT4s to take his stop. If he makes it around here, that's going to be pretty amazing that he could potentially block out anybody else from getting that leading a lap 3 point.
That's right. And again, he would be, and he is the last of the GT4 cars to pit in. So conceivably going at least one lap further than any of our others, assuming he can bring that car all the way back around, which, given that he has led every lap so far this race and was able to hold Travis Schwenke off early on, it would be a Herculean feat if he can pull this off.
Yep. So looking at the pit times, both Schwenke and Hartley are under 24 seconds, the two fastest pit stops in the 23s of anybody in the field. Thorman's was pretty quick at a 24.7. But that's going to bode well for the two Orion entries to try and catch their teammate Mike Dam as they're coming out. But it doesn't help Chris Thorman much, as Hartley actually was able to get around Thorman and all of that. Remember, Hartley was 2 or 3 seconds back from Thorman a couple laps earlier. So Thorman did not bode well there. He's going to have to work on, although I think he's right on Hartley's tail, if I have the standings here right, out on track, as Dale Maxwell is in a heated battle. And I believe that's Stephen May in the twin of the AMGs side by side around Sunset.
Oh, and May trying to come down underneath Maxwell. Cannot quite get the run, though, as he had to really tighten up his line and put a lot more friction in there. As we're back with Mike Dam as he's coming down the Olden Straight, coming up onto the back, I think, of Horvath.
Yep.
And let's see if Horvath is going to stay out. And Mike Dam now comes down to the pit lane, and he runs one lap further. And we'll see here as he gets down to the minimum speed or the maximum speed on the pit lane, and he's going to follow the two D2D drivers, both Whitworth and Violet.
Yep, follows in the TCR leaders, but that actually means the last car to stop is going to be Nick Horvath, trying to get that point led. Looks like he's going to do it. He'll lead at least a lap. He's the last man standing for his fuel stop. There he is.
And that Larry is under the assumption he can complete the lap.
Also, John Sterling, to update him, was able to get back out, although he's a couple laps down, it looks like, in his TCR entry after his pit stop. Schwenke with Rob Hartley now about 2 seconds back. There's Mike Dam coming out. How does this unfold? Look at that gap.
And the difference, Larry, 3 seconds, or actually two seconds almost less time in the box for Mike Dam.
He knows a different cheat code than Schwenke and Rob Hartley knows.
Yeah.
I tell you, that fuel consumption is amazing what Mike Dam does in just sipping the fuel in that car. Just always, he's the last one to stop in the shortest pit stops. It is just amazing. We'll see if he's got enough fuel to go to the end, or if he ends up short fueling himself to ensure he's got the lead. That could make it interesting. But right now, his gap over 2 seconds on Travis Schwenke, and they were nose to tail when Schwenke peeled off.
All right, so Larry, what I want to check, because this is going to be what determines when we go to break, is Nick Horvath, who is currently our leader in TCR and is our last driver out on track. He's coming down the Ullman Straight now, and you can see he's got John Sterling directly ahead of him. If he could get past Sterling, that would actually put Sterling a lap down.
A couple laps down.
Yeah, actually, yeah, it would be a couple laps down after getting the tow. It would be, it would actually be 2 laps down. But we expect that the 82 machine will head to the pits this time. And there he goes. He grabs all the wheel and pulls the car in. Let's take a look to see where he comes out, Larry, and then I think we will go to break.
Because his last lap was a pretty quick 2:16.01. Compared to, I got that right, yes, I think it was 2:16.01. Compared to the fastest laps of anybody in the race in that class at 2:15.5 by Eric Violet. So I think that's a pretty good lap. As far as an in-lap goes, here are his competitors. Eric Violet leading Brandon Whitworth, the two of the D2D cars here in TCR. Where is Horvath?
Just left the box.
This is going to be close. He might actually hold this lead.
Oh,
he's going to lose it, but not by much. Not bad for Nick Horvath. He's going to be right behind a whole group of GT4s, though, it looks like.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. He's got the Orion leaders going right by him.
Oh, and there goes Swanky wide through one. He manages to recover, but he lost a little bit of ground to his teammate Hartley behind him, and I'm sure he's got a little bit of dirt in his tires. You can see him still recovering as he's hopping curbs through 3 and 4 and 5.
All right, so Larry, let's do this. We're a couple minutes late. We are now over 2/3 of the way through this 60-minute race. Let's take a break. Let's thank some of our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll take you all the way to the checkered flag here at Sebring International Raceway, where you're watching the finale of season number 4, the Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. We'll be right back.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com. Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
The search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
And welcome back to Sebring International Raceway for the season finale of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Performa Texas Elite Graphics. I'm Greg Ginsburg along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And Larry, just as we were coming back from break, I think I guess we used the old golf analogy there at that the D2D drivers, Brandon Whitworth and Eric Violet, were letting the Orion racers play through, and a nice little scrap right here going on between Hartley and Schwenke for second. But as soon as the D2D guys came through, or probably the Orion guys came through, all of a sudden Whitworth and Violet are side by side trying to jockey through the hairpin.
Well, I have a feeling that Derek Violet decided to let the Orions through, but I don't think Brandon Whitworth wanted to let him through. And he said, fine, if you're going to lift and let them through, I'm going to follow them. And so he took the opportunity to leapfrog Eric and take the lead there for Brandon. Great little move. We'll see if Eric's got anything to counter as they come down the Ullman Straight and see if there's anything there. Remember, Nick Horvath's just about 4 seconds back from that battle. So if those two D2D teammates decide to keep playing nice and, oh no, please, everybody else play through around us,
Well,
it's just going to let Horvath come on through. Yep. And there's Horvath in the background and his black and red Civic to the two DTD boys. But also take note that these two Orions up here in the front are maybe, just maybe, catching up a little bit to Mike Dam, although Mike just laid down a 2:10.6 to the 2:10.8 and 9 for Hartley and Schwenke. But these two want to try and catch Mike, and I think their best hope might be is if Mike at all realizes he may have short, or even thinks he's short the car,
yeah,
then he'll back off for a lap or two. But you watch these two. I don't expect Hartley to do any sort of moves. If anything, he'll bump draft the BMW if he has to push Travis up there to catch Mike. Now, interestingly enough, we talk about the points ramifications of all this. Hartley really can't win the championship. It's really down to Schwenke and Dam. Probably the best odds are still in Schwenke's favor. Dam's doing everything he can to win this race, but I don't think Schwenke's calculating points right now. I think he just wants to go win this darn thing.
Yeah, here is, and we're watching now is Labano again as he sees his ability to go up in the championship, go away. Oh, and Steve Daniel goes around at the hairpin, and coming to a complete stop is Chuck Labano, who's just waiting for Steve Daniel to get it back underway, and then goes.
Oh, it looked like Steve Daniel was. Chuck Labano had really slowed a bunch to make sure that he didn't get into the back of Steve, and I think Steve might have lost it on his own as he got back on the power, maybe. But now does Chuck have an issue?
Let's take a look at the replay here, because I'm fairly certain that Labano did not get into Daniel when he went around.
So either, but let's see if the replay shows what happened. Again, he's showing him the inside, but it looks like he brakes a little later, gets down there.
No, he got him.
He did. He just tapped him, and it didn't really have an effect until halfway through the corner when Steve thought maybe he had it and then lost it, and I think that's why he gave the spot back. In fact, I'm hearing on the radio Chuck just said to Steve, "You all right, man?" And I think he said, yeah, I'm all right. Oh, no! Hartley from third, he spins.
So Larry, as I've been going through the different permutations of the scoring, I think Hartley does have third place in pro locked up, but that doesn't speak well for obviously for the battle that he had with Schwenke, and so Chris Thorman now moves back up into third position.
Yeah, he doesn't have third in this race right now. We'll catch the replay as the two of those Orion cars come into sunset here. Hartley's the second one, the yellow trim, all by himself, loses it. Luckily doesn't take out Travis, and he's able to get himself out of the way for Thorman to come on through. No contact anywhere for Hartley, uncharacteristically making that mistake.
You know, I'm wondering, and if John can't do this, I'm okay with it. I'd love to see the entry to that corner actually from Hartley's windshield, because it looked like Schwenke, he had adjusted his line mid-corner, and I think that was more of a reaction. Let's take a look at it here.
Steve, as Hartley now following.
See, watch this, and Schwenke makes that cut in as Schwenke had moved out wide. Hartley goes to react to that, and I think as he tried to pitch the car in and give his teammates some room, is when he just sent the rear end of the car around.
Yeah, he might have also gotten a little wider in his own line and realized that Schwenke was going to keep him honest and thought, I better get a little tighter in, and obviously a little bit of trailing throttle oversteer will kill you there in the middle of that corner, a little trail brake. But for Hartley, no contact anywhere. That's a good thing. Only loses the one position. And now he's just kind of in no man's land. Look at that. Nobody in front of him. No one behind him, but a couple of TCRs pretty far back. 5-6 seconds back, he's got David Payton. Hartley, all he has now, he's just a lonely man with his thoughts about how do I let that happen.
Yeah, exactly. He'll be thinking about that, Larry, for the next 9.5 minutes or so here, as right behind him is that TCR battle for the lead with Hartley, probably with Whitworth and Violet. Violet leading in that purple and silver Honda Civic Type R, and Whitworth directly behind him. And you can see there where Horvath starting to fall off the back.
But it's D2, D2, D2D with all four of them now lined up.
That's right.
With two of the TCRs and, of course, the two of them. In fact, all three classes are even covered there, as we've got the Pro class. I believe that's David Payton in the Aston and Bobby Childs.
Bobby Childs directly behind him, yeah.
In the AMG with the green mirrors and the green windshield banner and green end plates. And Bobby's going to lose out on this. Again, he's in a different class. He can let his two TCR teammates battle. That's exactly what he's doing. He's letting them just do their thing because he knows if he slows them up, and he's about to.
Yeah, I was just going to say he's about to slow Violet up going into 3, and he slots in right between the two leaders in TCR.
And I'm watching Horvath closing quickly behind them. He's going, go ahead, Bobby, screw these guys up for me.
Yeah, keep doing it.
But Bobby's going to get out of the way as best he can. Although, again, this track, the way it flows, the time delta is not huge between a TCR and a GT4. It's about 5 seconds, maybe, a whole lap, and it's a big lap around here. So pace-wise, it's a little bit in each of the longer straightaways, making it very difficult sometimes to get by a TCR car if you're the GT4. Horvath now just 2.5, maybe 2.7 seconds behind Eric Violet. And Violet, we know him. He'll make another pass here shortly, but I'm sure he's watching his relative, knowing that Horvath's there, ready to pounce.
All right, here they come out of turn 12 onto the, or probably 13 out of the tower turn onto the Flying Fortress straight. And again, with Whitworth leading the way at the moment, was the recipient of some of that love from his GT4 teammates, GT4 Pro and Am, and but looks like Violet is certainly not content to finish up where he is. He's going to have 7 minutes, give or take, to try and rectify the situation. But yeah, Nick Horvath starting to close things down a little bit. That last time by, he was about 0.4 of a second faster than Whitworth. But I was just going to say, Eric Violet, the fastest of the bunch. Oh, is there contact there coming through Sunset as Whitworth tries the over-under on Eric Violet? And for a moment there, it looked like Nick Horvath tried to do the over the wall as he ran all the way up to that little cutout there where the pavement actually raises up. The largest, I think the largest elevation change at Sebring is that little bump over there.
Well, Horvath on that last lap did pick up about 2 seconds with the way that the two GT4s were able to get through these two, and these two kept swapping positions. That's allowed Horvath to get close. Now he's 3 seconds back. Remember, he was probably closer to 4 or 5 a moment ago. But all it takes now, again, is for Whitworth to push around a little bit Eric Violet and maybe slow him down a little bit, and we can end up with a 3-way race. Not much time. We're less than 6 minutes remaining. Maybe, what are you talking about? 4 laps, perhaps, something like that. Maybe 3 laps. That's for position in third in GT4 AM between Brad Hussey and John Casey, and the two Astons going side by side through 2 and now into 3. This battle is on.
And it looked like John Casey more or less left the door wide open for Brad Hussey to come through out of turn number 1. Hussey currently running, and this, Larry, is for the last podium position in AM. Is Hussey now in that 137 machine, moves up into third as John Casey's going to try and go around the outside as they come down hard under braking into the hairpin. And Hussey's got position. Casey, by necessity, has to run very wide and has to dial in a lot of steering input there, both to the left and to the right, and good positioning by the 137 car.
Yeah, I bet we might even see another side-by-side as we get up here. I believe this is to 10, but not quite all the way, as Casey's going to hold back just a little bit behind Hussey. Now we'll see how they get the run off of Tower here in a minute, because that's another one of those crucial corners onto a long, wide-open throttle stretch. If Hussey can nail it, he can hold the lead all the way up until the S's. Any little bit of a wiggle right here, and not the strongest exit for Hussey.
Yeah, he was a little defensive there, and you can see he kind of chopped off the exit a little bit. I didn't think he got the run out of there. But John Casey really opened up the corner, just seemingly didn't get back the throttle early enough.
He almost was too close to the back of Hussey that he couldn't get on the throttle well enough. If he'd given himself an extra car length and gotten that bit of slingshot, maybe he makes the pass. That's it right there. Another opportunity to do that. They come out of the S's onto the Ulman Straight, but it looks like Hussey did a great job through the S's to keep that margin alive. But again, as we come up now 56 plus minutes, we're probably 2 laps from the finish, depending on where our leaders are.
Possibly 3, depending on where they are,
Yeah, they're about halfway around. It's working lap 26 for Mike Dam. So we'll keep our eye on that. But this battle might be the these two battles, in that one and of course this here TCR, are the two best battles on the track.
And of course, this one is for the lead in TCR with Eric Violet, your leader, in that purple and silver number 89 machine, with Brandon Whitworth, his teammate, in the number 42 car directly behind. And this appears, Larry, to be almost as far apart as they've been for the last 20 laps or so.
Maybe giving their tires a breather for a lap or so here, as they were abusing, especially those fronts, for quite a while. Whitworth now maybe kind of resting up for one more lurch at this, as we're inside of 3 minutes to go on the clock. We'll see where the overall leader, Mike Dam, is, and whether he gets one lap after this or two, as he's about to take start-finish. I suspect 2 more laps for Mike Dam, as he's crossing start-finish now. So yeah, I suspect 2 more laps of this. So if you're Eric Violet, save up those tires, and maybe for a last lap, you got a couple spots you can try a pass if you've got everything in line.
And wow, you can just see Horvath just throwing the car, opening up every single corner. You know, as he came through the tower turn onto the Flying Fortress straight, I think saw him take the line that he's taken almost every single lap here, which is just to throw the car all the way out into the dirt. But now we've got Violet and Whitworth coming through the sunset turn. Great run from Violet to the inside, but as you know, the challenge there is you chop down that corner and stay close to the wall. As you're putting a lot more load on the tires, you're creating a lot more friction, and you just can't carry the speed as Violet continues to hold the lead. And Larry, here we go, as we've got now less than 2 minutes. And judging, Dam still isn't quite halfway, but I think, we should be able to get at least one more lap out of it.
Yeah, I believe he's going to get white flag next time by, as he's halfway around here on lap 27. But these two, again, like you had said, Eric Violet got a great run through sunset, was able to maximize that arc and get the great run off of the corner down the main front straight, while Brandon Whitworth was pinching the corner off. Whitworth, though, a decent run here, coming down to the hairpin. Not going to use it this time, though. Going to wait for the next opportunity, staying in line, maybe try and get a run off of one of these slower corners like the hairpin, or maybe as they got turn 10 coming up, maybe he'll try and pop around there before they get to tower. He's not close enough to make a move or even to push Eric off of his line quite yet. Maybe he'll be looking for a run off of the Le Mans S's onto the Ullman Straight here in just a couple of more corners.
All right, so Mike Dam should be coming up through the sunset turn right now. There he is, and should be getting the white flag, as only 30 seconds remains on the clock.
Gonna have to note Chuck Labano is in the pits from second in GT4M. Don't know why. We know he had a bit of the damage there with the incident back a few laps ago with Steve Daniel, but he is in the pits. That moved that battle of Husty and Casey now to being for second and third in GT4M.
So both of them in the podium right now. Robert Hartley just runs the fastest lap of the race at a 2:09.98, which was all of 0.02 of a second faster than our leader, Mike Dam. But Dam now on his final lap. Let's take a look at that TCR battle if we can, John, and see where that stands, as they're coming now onto the front straight to start their final lap. White flag in the air for Eric Violet and Brandon Whitworth.
All right, Brandon's going to have to figure out. He's been following his buddy enough. He knows where their speeds differences are. And that maybe one of them, actually. It looked like he got a much better run, pushing Violet a little bit wide. I don't know if it's going to be enough to try and step inside before they get to 3. It's not. But certainly a little bit of offline there for Violet. I wonder what that's doing to his tires now on this final lap. More dirt. Maybe it's cool.
Yeah, he runs a little bit wide coming out of 5.
Dirt's cool. Little rally cross going on here down at Sebring. Look at this, a little defensive, a lot of defensive for Violet, trying to stay in front of Whitworth. Whitworth, an inch off of his bumper through 7, thinking this is one of those opportunities. If he can get on the gas early, got a good run. Is it enough?
And there was a lot of wiggle under braking from the 42 machine there, Larry. That
all right.
We might have seen a replay of what we saw in GT4 a little bit earlier.
Oh,
Here he goes. He pops to the inside.
I think they're going to be side by side for a while, but this is at least going to take Violet off his line. Not sure he's going to complete the pass, but this is definitely going to give him that opportunity now as they head towards 13 Tower Corner. Let's see where they are. And he does have a half a car length ahead, but is it enough to hold it? Maybe.
And is he going to be able to carry the speed out of there as Mike Dam comes out of Sunset for the last time and taking the win here in the season finale of the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. It is Mike Dam, your GT4 Pro winner. Travis Schwenke comes home in second, and just 5 car lengths back from there, Chris Thorman will take the bronze. Let's go back to this TCR battle, and it is Brandon Whitworth who manages coming onto the back straight to take the lead. Taking the win in GT4 AM for the second round in a row is going to be Bobby Childs.
Let's see what his teammates are doing in TCR. Does Eric Violet have the momentum to make the pop and make the pass? He's going to try the outside line? No, he's going to try and dupe him and go underneath.
Wow.
Side-by-side contact, maybe? Oh, boy, who's got the run?
And Whitworth opens that corner up as much as he can as they come out. Violet
finish.
Has the advantage coming down to the line. And taking the win, Eric Violet, margin of victory. Larry, 1/10 of a second. Brandon Whitworth is going to come home in second. Nick Horvath finishes in third. And we're still waiting for the rest of the GT4 AM field to finish up, Larry.
It's not sorted because Husty and Casey are still, I believe, pretty close to each other for the second spot.
And coming out of the corner, out of Sunset now, it's going to be Brad Husty. He's going to finish second in AM. John Casey, and I think that's Casey's second podium finish in a row, if I remember correctly. Let's see. John Casey in AM 2 weeks ago. No, that's he finished back in 5th, but he did have a podium earlier this season. John Casey coming home in 3rd. Great finish for him. All right, so Larry, let's do this. Let's take a quick break. There we go. Getting the push home. Anything for the photo op, right?
So look who's doing the pushing.
That's right. Yeah, Bobby's our kind of pusher. Anyway, all right, let's do this, Larry. Let's take a quick break and thank some of our partners. And when we come back, we'll have our interviews here from Sebring International Raceway, where you've just seen the season finale of Season 4 of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Performatech. We will be right back.
Extreme Scoring to do the work for you.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. Whether you're just looking to have fun, train for race day, or become a serious esports competitor, Ricmotech has you covered. Hundreds of name-brand parts. Support from experts that love sim racing. Trusted by the pros. There's only one place to go, Ricmotech.com.
Search is over. The most comprehensive league scoring solution is here, with the ability for multi-level championships, custom incident tracking, post-race time penalties, support for heats, drop weeks display, multi-car team scoring, advanced web widgets, rookie championships, a custom paint system, and load those results in seconds. Visit extremescoring.info today.
And we're back here at Sebring International Raceway, where you've just seen the finish of the Extreme Motorsports Ricmotech Sports Car Series finale. I'm Greg Ginsburg, along with Larry Lefty McLeod. And Larry, in the time it takes to do a commercial break is about the time that it takes to push Mike Dam all the way around Sebring. Bobby Childs picking up like 700 incident points doing it here. But let's take a look at our finishing order here once again. John, if you throw that up there. Taking the win in pro is Mike Dam with Travis Schwenke coming home in second. Chris Thorman finishing third with Robert Hartley and David Payton finishing fourth and fifth. In GT4 AM, Bobby Childs, second win in a row for him. Brad Husty from Midfield Motorsports comes home second. John Casey, another podium finish for John for Frito Sport Racing. He comes in third with Chris Maxwell and Stephen May finishing just off the podium in fourth and fifth. And then finally in TCR, Eric Violet with that last lap, last corner pass takes the win with Stephen Whitworth, Brandon Whitworth coming home in second. Nick Horvath will finish in third. John Sterling rounds out the 4-car TCR field. And so, Larry, let's take a look. I think we've got some of our folks sitting in the green room. And, you know, this might take a while anyhow.
I know who that is.
Yeah, let's bring in multiple, who knew we'd ever say this, a multiple race winner, our GT4 AM winner tonight from D2D eRacing. It's Bobby Childs.
Bobby, did you ever fly air refueling missions back in your days in the war? Because you just you just gave some fuel, at least gave a push to Mike Dam around this track. But what it means is that you actually won your class. You won the GT4 AM here tonight, Bobby. Heck of a race for you. Tell me about it.
Oh man, it was a ton of fun, and I was happy to push Mike, up here so we could get to the start finish line. Us Americans have to take care of our friends up north, Canada, America's hat. But man, it really was, it was great fun. Me and Dave were just kind of following the leader for a long time. We were hoping we could have kept Hartley between us or maybe behind us, but the pace just wasn't quite there to match Hartley. Everyone knows he's an absolute master. He's a legend. And finally, with about 12 minutes to go, me and Dave said, "You know what? Time to stop playing nice and let's race." And we started really, trying to go at each other. And then we came across, of course, Eric and Brandon in the TCR fight. We didn't want to mess with them, so we kind of pulled it back. And then after that, it was on, and I got the successful mind punt of Dave in Sunset, and that's all she wrote, man. P5, woo!
Yeah, awesome finish overall, as well as winning the AM category. But I thought for a minute you were going to break up your teammates there in the TCR battle that you caught up to. You looked like you were thinking, hey, let me just let these guys go. I'm not in their class. I'll just hang back. And then you're like, oh, let me just shove my nose in here through turn 3. Did you get anything on the radio because of that?
No, those guys stay on a separate channel during the race because they do have a different kind of race. They knew what we were trying to do. We knew we were trying to let them go, but the pace is not that far off between the TCRs and the GT4s here, so it really didn't quite work as well as we wanted. We really wanted to let Eric and Brandon kind of go in a nice sweet spot, and there just was no sweet spot because those cars are really fast and they're so exciting to drive. I hope people watching this will understand how fun, even though they're front wheel drive, how amazing those TCRs are on iRacing in real life, and get signed up when the Sportscar series comes back in August. We really need some TCRs.
Yeah, we're going to talk to Brandon in a minute. I'm sure we'll talk to Eric as well. I tell you what, it might have been some of the best racing we've had in this series all season long. Watch those TCR cars here tonight. I know how much fun they are. I'm sure we're going to have a pretty good battle next season. But for now, you are a race winner here tonight, back-to-back. I believe you won at Brands Hatch then a couple weeks back. So awesome job, Bobby. You want to give any special shout-outs tonight?
Always our team sponsor, Proforma Elite. Moving forward, no more Elite Texas Graphics. They're now just Proforma Elite. Cool. And I want to send a special shout-out to our buddy David Payton. He's had a lot of trouble over the last couple seasons, bad runs, and things he really doesn't deserve because he is so instrumental to the success of this team. We've seen how much better Chris has been driving, his performances. I've improved over the time that I've been on D2D, and that is owed a lot to David. And we really appreciate you, bud. I don't drink, but I will crack open a water bottle for you tonight, man. We love Dave on this team, and I just wanted to make sure everyone knows how important he is to the operation of D2D.
Absolutely. Well said. That's a great teammates, good camaraderie that you guys have. So you guys go celebrate with a nice crisp bottle of water and enjoy this one, Bobby. We're going to talk to some of your teammates here in a minute as well.
All right. Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Bobby.
All right, there you go. Bobby Childs, driver the number 88 Mercedes-AMG GT4 from D2D eRacing, taking the win tonight in GT4 AM. All right, so now let's move over, Larry, to we'll move over
TCR
to
guys.
TCR.
Let's bring them both in.
We'll bring them both in. We can do that. Brandon Whitworth, driver the number 42 D2D Honda Civic Type R, and Eric Violet, your winner tonight, driving the number 89 Honda
All right,
Civic
Brandon
Type
and
R.
Eric, we're bringing you guys in together because that looked like an hour of the most fun you could possibly have sim racing. I want to have both you guys tell me. Let's start with Brandon. Man, you took every opportunity to shove that nose up inside of Eric, every opportunity you could get. Tell me a little bit about that strategy. Was it just to mix it up from the green flag?
Yeah, I mean, we figured we would have a good time because, the outcome of the race wasn't really going to make much of a difference. So we thought we would go hard and see how it turned out.
And I got to ask you that also, when Bobby kind of got in there late in the race, kind of mixed it up, did you take that opportunity as Eric's backing off to let Bobby through, or you thinking, I'm not letting him by? You really ducked right in behind Bobby and then took the position away from Eric.
Yeah, I was really trying to not wreck us all. That's really what I was trying not to do.
Yeah, well, Eric, speaking of not wrecking y'all, that last corner looked like it was awfully snug going around Sunset, Eric, but you ended up staying ahead by that 1/10 to get the victory. How close was it around Sunset?
That was, well, I think between Brandon's blue and my purple, I think our cars are now blurple or something like that.
Well, I wasn't going to give him any room.
No. I was like, okay, I don't think I'm going to be able to go outside, so I tried to go cut underneath, and both of our tires were just shot. I don't know how close I was to the wall. All I know is I saw a little bit of daylight, and I'm like, I'm going for it. If we end up in the wall, we end up in the wall, but yeah, that was about all I could do, or either one of us could do. We were, cars were, or tires were shot.
It looked like so much fun. Good tires, bad tires, whatever it take. You guys were having a blast. And the opening half of that race, you guys had a four-way battle that was going. It looked like just an absolute ton of fun with Nick and John mixing it up in there. I thought for a minute we're going to have all four of you down at the end, but those guys really had a lot. It looked like they had a lot of fun fighting with you guys as well.
Yeah, Horvath, I knew we were practicing together. I knew he was really quick, and I kind of forgot about Sterling. So he shows up, and I'm like, all right, let's see what he does. And I told Brian, I'm like, dang, he's quick. This is going to be a fun one. And, I don't know what happened there. I think Horvath got in between us, and then something happened to him, and then Sterling got in between us, and then he had a slowdown. And then after that, they would kind of creep up a little bit when Brian and I were going after it, and then something happened. I'm not sure if John spun or something. I'll have to see what happened on the replay. And then Horvath was kind of there and then kind of not. So it was kind of weird watching the relative at the end of the race there.
Yeah. Nick, every time you guys started to fight, he would gain half a second or a second, and then you guys would pull ahead a little bit. But I tell you, it was such an amazing battle to watch. We kept flashing back to you guys tonight to see what was going on. And at one point, the blue is ahead, one point, the purple's ahead, and then we'd look back 2 corners later, it'd be swapped. It looked like an absolute blast. But in the end, one of you had to win tonight. It was Eric. And not only do you win this, I believe you are now our Season 4 champion in TCR here in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. Congratulations, Eric.
Whoop, whoop.
So for that and for the win and for the championship, I'm sure you got some folks you want to thank and mention here on this big D2D team.
Yep. Family, friends, my wife Laura, for letting me do this kind of stuff. Proforma Elite changed the name recently, so if you guys need marketing, family gathering materials, whatever, go check out Proforma Elite. Ricmotech for sponsoring the series, and for you guys, Apex Racing TV, putting on the broadcast. And again, as always, I cannot wait to watch this one. So it's been a great season. Can't wait for the next one. I guess we'll see you in the. You guys doing next week as well?
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome. So I'll be in a rear-wheel drive, so it's going to be very interesting for me.
Whoa, it's been a little while. That'll be fun to watch. But you can definitely soak in the glory of tonight, and the victory and the championship is yours, and so much fun. Absolutely, you'll enjoy watching this one back as well. Congrats, Eric. Congrats, second place there, Brandon. You guys put on a great show tonight.
Thanks. Car works a lot better when I don't put it in the wall.
Always the case.
Have you, and apparently you've taught Bobby that, so that's good. All right, everybody, that is Eric Violet and
Thanks,
Brandon
Larry.
Whitworth.
Thanks, guys.
From D2D eRacing, finishing first and second here tonight, and also on the season in TCR. Larry, let's bring in Brad Husty now. Husty finishing second tonight in GT4 AM in the number 137 Aston Martin.
All right, Brad Husty has joined us. A great podium finish for you. Second place in GT4 AM, but you had one heck of a battle with John Casey down there near the end of that race. Tell me a little bit about that mix-in that was going on with you and John.
When I come out of the pits, he was right on my butt, and I couldn't shake him, man. And then I got to slow down coming out of the S's before the long straight in the back. I tell you what, he was trying hard to get around me. I did everything I could to keep him away.
It looked like an absolute blast. I mean, you guys both pretty equally matched, same car, so your strengths of car all in the same place. That's probably some of the closest racing I think you've had all season is going into this with him. And how many times have you had a chance to really run numerous laps corner to corner with John and kind of figure out where you two get to play?
I'll tell you, not very much. Sometimes we get all separated. You don't get to race with anybody. I enjoyed that immensely, and he was putting pressure on me. I couldn't keep my eyes off the rearview mirror. He was distracting me, man. He was trying. I enjoyed it a lot.
What looked like an absolute blast, but in the end, you guys both end up on the podium. Your step's a little higher than his, up here in second spot, Brad. And we haven't had a chance to talk to you very much, but I know you and your Midfield Motorsports teammates, you guys do really well out here, have a lot of fun. You want to give anybody a shout out and a thanks for the podium here tonight?
Oh, yeah, all the sponsors and you guys for putting this on, Apex for putting this on, everybody that supports the league. It's a great league. If we had packed grids, that would be amazing.
I love it when you guys fill these grids up. It definitely looks like it's so much fun all the way down the order with all the battles going on. And we're trying to refresh the point standings here.
Hey, Larry, I think I've got some answers here. Yeah. So coming into tonight, we talked that Brennan Horn had locked up the championship, and apparently he locked up the brakes a lot tonight as well. But coming into the night, we had Chad Osborne from Redline Motorsports had been second in the championship with 38 points, and Brad with 132. After tonight's race, and I don't know how this is going to work out. Brad Husty and Chad Osborne both with 156 points. I'm actually showing, tied on points. I'm showing right now Brad as showing in second position, but I don't know if that's just something in the way our points system works, or if there is some kind of tiebreaker that I don't know about.
We may have to get a judge's ruling on that, but I'll tell you what, at least, Brad, you're not getting any worse than third in the championship. You're in that absolute tie with Chad for second spot in the championship. When you started this season here, season 4 of the Ricmotech Sportscar Series, did you ever think you'd be sitting here with a chance to be in the second and third, a podium spot at the end of the season?
No, man. Just there's a totally different car from the TCRs, and I started off the season real good. Then the last part of the season, got in a couple wrecks. I had no idea I'd get up here, man, but it's been a blast.
Awesome stuff. Well, congratulations on that. A great second place here tonight, and we'll go ahead and call it second place the championship. It's at least a tied for the points there. We'll figure out tiebreakers later on. None of that matters, but you're going to be on the podium for the championship. Awesome job, Brad. Congratulations on that, and hopefully we'll see you again in a couple of weeks when we start up a new season.
All right, I appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
All right, there you go, Brad Husty from Midfield Motorsports coming home tied for second here in the championship. And Larry, before we move over to GT4 Pro, we'll do a quick little rewind to TCR. And Eric Violet coming away with the championship, Brandon Whitworth finishing in second. But another tie after tonight's race. I am showing that John Sterling from Team Collusion, Nick Horvath from Lead Paw Racing, who we spoke to earlier tonight, both with 207 points, fourth tied for third in the TCR Championship.
Oh, so much fun. Such close battles for all these drivers. That's great. Congrats to John Sterling, Nick Horvath, both for at least being there tied for third at the end of the season. Great job for them. And of course, we get a chance, of course, to talk to our GT4 AM champion because, well, he didn't have the greatest of nights tonight. But Brennan Horn's going to go home with the GT4 AM championship here at Season 4. But I think we've got one more to talk to tonight. I think he didn't win the race, but he's got some big prizes waiting for him.
That's right. Let's talk to Travis Schwenke, our second place finisher tonight in GT4 Pro from Orion Racing, and to spill the beans, our Season 4 GT4 Pro champion.
So Travis Schwenke, yes, you just heard Greg say it. You are the Season 4 of the Sportscar Series GT4 Pro champion. How does that feel?
Pretty good, especially after, let myself down a little bit in the GT3 class, but this was a nice little icing on the cake, so very, very happy. Yeah,
it looked like a lot of fun tonight. You and Mike just sort of played it cool right there to the first half of the race, and all of a sudden you come out of the pits and you got Rob Hartley there behind you, which he wasn't there when you went in, and so you guys had to put on a little bit of a fight before he finally faded. Tell me a bit about those battles with those teammates. How much were you trying to push, and how much were you just trying to hold position to make sure you win this championship?
I wasn't trying to push hard. That's for sure. I was trying to stay there and not put myself in a bad position. I think if someone would have dove, I probably would have opened it up. I was even going to let Rob go when he spun. I went a little wide, and he just got on the brake a little too hard as we went into the corner. But I knew I didn't really have to finish that high to still win the championship. So I started pushing near the end. I caught Mike maybe for 2 laps, 3 laps, and he was just quick. And I made a little mistake, and I was like, this isn't worth pushing. So I just kind of backed off and coasted around. So, it's interesting when you have to race like that, but, it is for a championship, so it's worth it.
Yeah, well, I'm impressed with that, and also impressed with you guys and your whole team used the least amount of fuel of anybody in this field. Now, apparently you used just the right amount, because I know that Mike had some trouble getting back. I didn't see you get back for the photo at the end either. You guys
I did.
Did you get back?
Yeah, I actually took like 1.5 liters extra. I made sure I had enough. Again, it wasn't worth the risk, right? So that's probably what dropped me back a little bit further from Mike and let Rob catch up. I kind of was playing between that gap with the fuel, but that was fine.
Yeah, perhaps it was Rob who was also getting the push on the way back, and smart move by you as well. You got to conserve. You got to make sure you come home with that good position and solidify this championship. So it's such a tough class. Obviously, your teammates are strong. Chris Thorman, very strong tonight coming in from D2D, just like he did a couple weeks ago when he took that win at Brands Hatch. But for you, it's a season long of work, consistency, getting victories, holding seconds when you can. A championship for you. I mean, that's what's this mean to you when you're going to look back at this and say, where does this one fit in the accomplishments?
Pretty high. So, as you said, it's a stacked field. Not my teammates being some of them, and Chris and Bobby, and even Chuck on that. There was a race where Chuck was really quick, and and everyone races really, really fair like you would in the real world, and it's it's great. So, you feel really accomplished when you do that, right? It's not just trying to protect yourself out there. You're really trying to race, and that's what makes it fun.
Yeah, awesome stuff. But I know you've got some folks you want to thank for helping you get here to this championship.
Definitely thank my teammates, thank the whole Orion Race crew. Maybe some are out there watching tonight. Then we have SimRace RC, and hopefully next year there might be another name on the side of the car. So we'll see if not from Orion, it'll still be Orion, but another sponsor. So hopefully that'll come through.
Oh, it's always good. We appreciate their support. Hopefully we can give them the exposure that they're looking for. But tonight it's all about your championship. Congratulations, Travis, and you get to go celebrate this first place in the season in the GT4 Pro class in Season 4. Congrats.
Thank you.
All right, there you go, everybody. Travis Schwenke, your GT4 Pro champion here in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. And so, Larry, let's wrap things up, because as quickly as we have a season finale, we have a new season for another series starting up. And so May Day, May 1st, next Monday night, is the season opener for season number 23 of the newly renamed Touring Car Cup. It is going to be the Mazda MX-5 Global Cup cars and the new Toyota GR86 Cup cars. and I'm showing round 1 of 11, and we have a lot of dual race outings over the course of the season. We're going to be my favorite, Summit Point Raceway, during the season as well. But we're going to be starting off next Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern Time at Suzuka. So you don't want to miss that, and not only do you not want to miss watching it, but if you want to join in on the action, you can go to xmsracing.com/TCC-registration to sign up, and you can be on the grid for next Monday night's broadcast. Then, in 2 weeks, May 8th, the Ricmotech World Challenge, as quickly as it ended, and last week was the Season 6 finale. Well, the Season 7 opener is in 2 weeks. We're going to be at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. Those are for our GTP cars, the brand new BMW M8 hybrids, as well as GT3 cars. And new for season number 7, it's going to be the return of the Audi R8 to the GT3 field. And if you want to sign up for the World Challenge, it's xmsracing.com/RWC-registration. And then coming, and going to take a little bit of a break from the sports car series, we're going to return with the GT4 and TCR action August 21st. First round location to be determined. So for Larry McLeod, for John Robertson, I'm Greg Ginsburg. Thank you so much for joining us here this season, and we will see you next Monday night, 8 p.m. for the Touring Car Cup, round number 1 from Suzuka. Have a great week, everybody.
Ricmotech, high-performance sim racing equipment. There's only one place to go, ricmotech.com.
Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
here.